B-roll. We got that B-roll, B-roll.
Criticized Jon Jones harshly, expressing frustration on his podcast over Jones's current path, saying he's doing everything except fighting Tom Aspinall. Rogan pointed out that instead of focusing on defending his title or preparing for a major unification bout, Jones is busy with unrelated projects. He added that it makes no sense for Jones to appear on foreign reality TV shows, while UFC fans are left waiting for updates on the heavyweight title scene.
One, two, not wait, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Between Jon Jones and Nate Diaz on the Russian reality show, AOLF Reality, has raised even more questions. The show, which featured both fighters as opposing coaches in a format similar to the UFC's The Ultimate Fighter, was intended to showcase their personalities and training styles. However, things didn't go as planned. During one of the training segments, a disagreement between the two teams quickly escalated into a physical altercation between Jones and Diaz, an unexpected turn that surprised both the UFC and fans.
Title fight. He's talking about Islam. He's talking about Islam. He's a little new in the sports show. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do before. But he has a big future. He got a big future.
Big future, but I think that same Habib career not long.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah, just starting to from this and make so I kept on keeping on and I still on. So how does it even argue?
So I'll be on top more time.
Shields, who was part of Nate Diaz's team. The incident began when a member of Jon Jones's side got too aggressive during training, prompting Diaz to react and leading to both teams getting involved. Shields said the situation spiraled out of control quickly and that some people present, including members of the production crew, did little to diffuse the tension. As a result, Diaz and his team chose to leave the show entirely, feeling the environment was unsafe and that the production team failed to manage the situation properly.
Who the Russians don't like on Russian tough, there's going to be an issue. I don't know. It's laughable. I don't know how you couldn't see this coming. Oh, man. You can't make this up, guys. You can't write this. So this guy knows who Nate. He's probably pretty aware of his issues with Khabib. At some point, guys, you can't be fighting like in the street.
Strongly to the incident, saying the entire setup seemed poorly planned. He criticized the show's organizers for allowing the situation to escalate and argued that placing fighters like Jon Jones and Nate Diaz, both known for their intense personalities, into a competitive format without a clear structure was a recipe for trouble. While he wasn't surprised things boiled over, he expressed disappointment in how—
Never a bookmaker.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I hope so.
There's certain things that you just can't, there's certain physical attributes and advantages you cannot overcome. It's not saying that Nate isn't an amazing fighter. Nate is an amazing fighter and has been for a long time. I mean, you can go way back.
To Rogan was what the incident revealed about where Jon Jones is currently focusing his energy. While Nate Diaz is no longer under UFC contract and has the freedom to pursue various projects, Jones remains the UFC heavyweight champion, which comes with the responsibility of defending his title, especially with Tom Aspinall holding the interim belt. Aspinall has been vocal about wanting a unification bout and is seen by many fans as a legitimate threat to Jones, yet there has been no real progress toward making that.
Is Jon Jones scared to fight you?
Yes. Jon is pawning the public. The fact that he didn't want to fight Ngannou for 3 years and now he's not wanting to fight me for over a year.
Is that fight fucking happening?
The UFC is saying that it's going to happen. I think it's down to him and Dana.
Dana loves Jon Jones.
He's trying to grease up his ego a little bit. I think he's one of the best fighters ever. Definitely top 3. That's debatable when you start putting in about drug tests and stuff like that, I think.
Damn. What drug are you talking about specifically?
That Jon Jones is reportedly asking for $30 million to take the fight with Tom Aspinall. While Rogan acknowledged that a fighter of Jones's status can make such demands, he also warned that delays like this can harm a fighter's reputation. It creates the impression that Jones is avoiding the fight, an idea that fans are starting to believe, especially with his involvement in unrelated side projects like the reality show, which have nothing to do with the UFC or defending.
In my opinion, if you look at his body of work, over the last 15 years, he's like as close as you can get to perfection as possible. He's like 37, 38 years old, but not only that, he's got a million miles on the clock. So he's got a lot of damage on the body. He's took a lot of shots to the head. And that's not me saying anything negative about it. That's the reality of it. And I'm sure Jon Jones is aware of that. And he's fighting one of the most concussive punchers in UFC history. And I just think I can exploit it. Like, I think to get out the way of me for 25 minutes.
There's been growing frustration among fans, with many questioning why Jon Jones is avoiding Tom Aspinall and why he chose to appear on a reality show with Nate Diaz instead. Some people online have even joked that Jones is doing everything possible except fighting the one opponent everyone wants to see him face. It's become a recurring theme, and the timing of the incident with Diaz has only intensified.
He's a freak. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem. But Jon has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson, guys who are really fast at light heavyweight. So the speed is not going to be as much.
It wasn't just a heated exchange between two coaches. It was a serious fight, according to those present, including people close to both fighters. Jake Shields said he was attacked as well, and that the situation was spiraling, out of control before anyone intervened. Diaz felt the production company mishandled the incident, and may have even encouraged the conflict, which is why he and his team ultimately walked away from the project, believing they were set up. Rogan agreed with Diaz's decision to leave, saying that once a fighter feels the environment is unsafe or poorly managed, it's better to walk away than risk further escalation. He added that Diaz has always been someone who reacts in the moment, and if he felt disrespected or provoked, a strong response was inevitable.
Diaz, I was like, wow. He's a gangster. Homeboy, he wasn't even in that great of shape, and he came in and showed heart, how he fights. And he came forward the whole time. If he didn't get dropped in the, was it 8th round? 8th round? I don't remember which round. Yeah, I think it was 7th, 8th round that he got dropped by that punch. If he didn't get dropped by that punch, I think he would have won.
No way.
I thought it was that close.
I thought he was doing enough to win on points, but he was injured. I went to go see him afterwards in the locker room, and one of his chest.
That's exactly what happened here. Rogan wasn't surprised that Diaz didn't hold back, but he emphasized that the organizers also share responsibility for the situation. When it comes to Jon Jones, Rogan was more critical. He said being a UFC champion comes with certain responsibilities, and while media and promotional work are common, participating in something that results in a physical fight outside the octagon reflects poorly on Jones. Rogan insisted that Jones should be in the gym or at the negotiation table working toward the Aspinall fight, not filming a reality show that ended.
We won't ever find out. I think Tom Aspinall's the best.
Well, who knows?
I think Tom beats him.
Who knows if Jon beats him? Jon might beat him up.
Yeah, he could.
Jon might take him down and fucking ragdoll him on the ground, like, you know.
Jon easily could. Because we don't know how good Jon is either.
And we also don't know what happens to Tom Aspinall in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. We have zero idea.
Because no one's gotten it.
No one's even gotten close.
There's so many question marks. Like, we don't know how good Jon is.
Right.
You can't tell me Jon's the best of all time, or he is the best GOAT, but you can't tell me he's the best.
Jones hasn't said much about what happened on the show, and hasn't responded directly to Rogan's comments. But his silence hasn't stopped speculation. Many believe he's intentionally stalling the Aspinall fight, either because he's not fully recovered from injury, or because he wants to retire on top without risking another loss. Others think he's trying to build hype or increase his payday. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Rogan and many others in the MMA world are starting to lose patience. The UFC, through Dana White, has stated that the plan is still for Jones and Aspinall to unify the belts sometime in 2025.
And that's my own personal he annoys me. I get to you guys, you find it entertaining, but I find him annoying, and I just don't like him. And at the end of the day, if I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want to say it, I want that few money, honestly, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is.
Even that plan doesn't sound final. There's no date, no confirmed location, and no signed contract. Fans are left waiting, and the latest situation with Diaz has only made it harder to believe that Jones is serious about returning soon. Rogan said he hopes the UFC steps in and pushes for the fight to happen sooner rather than later. He also added that if Jones doesn't want to defend the belt, he should step aside. This entire situation has grown beyond just a TV show or personal disagreement. It's now about accountability and whether Jones is still focused on competing at the highest level. The altercation with Diaz showed how quickly things can go wrong when fighters enter poorly managed environments, and it raised even more doubts about Jones's mindset and priorities.
Better than him weighing 245. In his 205 frame, he could fight Tom Aspinall better than he'd fight him at that 250 because that's not his weight class. While he didn't last long with Cyril, he didn't look as fast, carried more weight. Cyril just did some weird stuff. John, you don't make mistakes against John.
With Alf Global and his exit from the Russian show, Nate Diaz hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. If anything, his focus has shifted completely away from the scripted coaching setting and back to what he's always preferred: fighting. Although his time on the reality series was short-lived, it never seemed like his true lane anyway. Now, he's refocusing on what's next in the cage and potentially returning to the UFC. Speaking on the JRE podcast with Rampage Jackson, Diaz made it clear that he's open to coming back if the situation meets his terms. Since parting ways with the organization, he's consistently said that the money, the opponent, and the timing all have to line up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more updates.